How much would you sacrifice to save your country? How far are you willing to go to maintain her freedom? What will you do to ensure her safety, and how deep are you willing to fall? I love GENICHIRO. In all my years of playing video games, I've never seen a character with this level of conviction, this level of will to sacrifice everything they have for what they love. A man who loves his country to such a degree that he's willing to destroy his own humanity. GENICHIRO is the best depiction of self-sacrifice and desperation I have ever seen. In fact, the writing in Sekiro is so good that I even see reflections of myself in him. The reason behind GENICHIRO's sacrifice and desperation comes back to the true love he has for his country deep down in his heart. During Ashina's rebellion for independence, GENICHIRO was a nobody, just a peasant boy who just lost his mother, all alone in a war-torn country. Now taken in by the head of the Ashina clan himself, Lord Isshin, studying swordsmanship from none other than the great master Tomoe, one of the greatest sword masters in the entire country. GENICHIRO goes from being this absolute nobody to becoming the head of the Ashina clan in the span of 20-something years. In fact, one of the many things that make Wolf and GENICHIRO so similar is that both of them were orphans of the rebellion, with nothing to live for. Wolf just happens to be found by Owl, and GENICHIRO happens to be found by Isshin. Similar people in different situations as a new war is about to break on the country. The Interior Ministry is again invading Ashina, but this time, Ashina is the weakest it's ever been. They have done so much damage, in fact, when GENICHIRO sees that there is no way of fighting fair, desperate times call for desperate measures. He will use the Dragon's Heritage, an ancient power that found its way to Ashina long ago, the power of immortality. And the person who carries such a power is a divine heir, Kuro, the person who Wolf is protecting. You can see where this is going. So GENICHIRO captures and imprisons Kuro, and even though that they're running out of time, he still tries to convince him to grant him his power, so that Ashina may still have a chance at fighting back.
Drive them back once, but the Interior Ministry's army is far too powerful.
And that is why you wish to use the power of my blood. It doesn't matter how much power you obtain. You'll keep on fighting until you're a monster, incapable of feeling pain or fear. I do not wish to corrupt the lives of men.
Look at this mountain of bodies. Ashina cannot be defended by normal means. Not anymore.
I could never be as strong as you, Lord GENICHIRO. I do not yet know what it is I should do.
It has been a long time since that happened. Wait all you like. It'll do you no good.
But Kuro has his own reasons to disagree. Because the Dragon's Heritage is inherently a corrupting force. It eats away other people's life so that one person may come back from the dead. It's a disease called the Dragon Rot. It's not a normal neutral tool that you can just pragmatically use. It's inherently destructive. If GENICHIRO tries to use his power, by the time he's done killing the entire invading army all by himself, the entire population of the country will probably die from the Dragon Rot. So naturally, Kuro denies his request, and when you fight him for the second time and beat him, that's when you understand just how desperate he is.
If it is for the sake of preserving Ashina, I will seize any manner of heretical strength. I will endure any burden. Behold the lightning of Tomoe. Enough.
Lord GENICHIRO, is this the rejuvenating waters?
Ashina, this land is everything to me. For her sake, I will shed humanity itself.
The rejuvenating waters is a far lesser version of the dragon's heritage, which is even more corrupting for the subject itself. Meaning, whereas the dragon's heritage kills other people to bring you back from the dead, the rejuvenating waters keeps you alive, but to the detriment of your soul and your mind. You become progressively less human. But this is the price Genichiro is willing to pay, even if it means giving his country a slight chance at a better fight. But he still loses, and when he sees that there is no convincing Kuro, he retreats. The next and the final time you get to see him is at the very end of the story. He has received the Black Mortal Blade, which can kill the Undying, and is planning to take the dragon's heritage by force. A form of desperation we didn't see in the last fight. The person who was trying to convince a young boy and granting him his power is now ready to take it by any means necessary.
One last time.
Yes, let's finish this.
But again, he fails. All the humanity he sacrificed was still not enough. He's still not strong. He was never the warrior he wished to be, and his home, his country, Ashina, is finished. But perhaps he wasn't enough. Maybe you could say he still hasn't given everything.
In the end, I was powerless, but Ashina will rise once more. The dragon blood surging through her veins. With this, Ashina's long night comes to an end.
Pitiful grandchild. This was your last wish. To see Ashina returned from the great beyond. Which means sekiro. I must destroy you.
Now, the first time I saw this, it was like witnessing actual childbirth right in front of my eyes. My brain was going through so much I couldn't even process it. And one of the main emotions I had, other than shock obviously, was a tremendous amount of sadness. You see, the Black Mortal Blade that Genichiro is using here acts more like a gateway, like a bridge to the underworld, which can bring the soul of a dead person back to life. And before you reach this point, Lord Ishin had already passed away from old age. And so when Genichiro sees that he wasn't enough, he brings Ishin's soul back to life. A far more intimidating and scarier version of him to maybe end this long night that Ashina is going through. He sacrifices the very last thing he had, which was his fragile life. I really didn't want to see him go through all of that. I really do love him as a character, and I really do feel for him and his desperation. While he is a very fun boss, I still feel a tremendous amount of sadness every time I beat him. Genichiro in the story plays the role of a rival towards Wolf. Wolf fights him for a total of 3 times, and the both of them are similar in a lot of ways. Wolf has love and compassion for his master Kuro, and Genichiro has love and compassion for his country, for Ashina. Both of them are willing to do whatever it takes to keep what they love safe, to sacrifice anything if necessary for what they love. They just happen to love different things. And while there are plenty of great written rivals in games like Sam from Metal Gear Rising and Thor from God of War Ragnarok, I've never seen one as unique as Genichiro. He's not fighting you because either of you bear a grudge or are being manipulated by an outside force. He's simply fighting you because he has no other choice. Every single fight is an act of desperation, and he gets more and more desperate through time. Genichiro does, in my eyes, have a pure heart that gets tainted through desperation. He still tries to talk with Kuro, but the problem is, truth be told, the whole situation is kind of fucked and there's really not much that you can do about it. Ashina's fate is inevitable. Even with the dragon's heritage, there is no guarantee of anything. But again, he is desperate and he's trying to use every single tool and advantage he has to give his country, his homeland, a second chance. I really do feel for him, and while I don't condone the way that he goes about doing things, I completely understand his love and his desperation. When you love something to that degree, all logical lines start to fade, and I completely get that. I hope I've managed to give you all a better perspective about how I feel towards this character, because for me, Genichiro really does hold a very dear place in my heart. When it comes to all the video games that I've played, he is the most unique rival, I believe, and I hope I managed to prove that point.